his question, because we've had some guests come on the show and speak about how much cinemas take and how much the producers and the cast get for movies. So because you have been in the industry for a long time, I know that you are very, very, what's the word, very up to the task of answering this question. So what is the profit percentage that cinemas take from a movie like, let's say, Tribe of Judah, which I know you were involved in?
Thank you. I think that's a question that always comes up, and it tells me that we need to do a better job of sensitizing the industry about how the business side works. I'm happy that the media continues to do a great and responsible job of, asking the questions. From a cinema business point of view, as you know, the cinema outlet, or the cinema window, as we call it, is one aspect of monetizing filmed content, right? There are other aspects, the streaming platforms, the TV platforms, both platforms license films. Cinemas showcase films for a particular period. Of course, you have other ancillary platforms like airlines, cruises, you have private screenings, you have even educational rights. You have a number of platforms, and that's the beauty of the business of film. With cinema and anywhere around the world, rather than kind of addressing it as profit, we look at it as revenues, right, that come accrue to a film based on the number of ticket transactions made. And it's very, very simple. It's grossly overstated that cinemas tend to take a disproportionate amount of the revenue. Rather, there are elements that are very statutory, that are beyond our control, that we must ensure have their own portion. And I hope that the government officials are listening today. The industry, we think, as it were, an industry that is just coming up, that requires a level of support, is very much taxed for the reasons I don't know. But look, in 100%, so let's think of it as this, and let me maybe quickly summarize the answer, as I imagine that you have other questions. If you had 1 million naira box office takings for a particular film, of that 1 million naira, let's do it in percentage terms. Taxes can account from anything between 18% and 22%. Taxes on that 1 million naira. So you're talking everything from VAT to entertainment tax to what we call withholding tax. It can account for anything in that. So you're now left with 880,000 naira. Let's not forget that these cinemas have spent an average of 400 to 700 million, depending on how many screens, to build out the cinema. So in terms of capital expenditure, and they have running costs. So whether it's your diesel cost, energy, or the salaries you have to pay, or the maintenance you have to do on the cinemas, or the equipments you have to keep shipping in, or software technology costs that you might have to pay in dollars, all of these costs are there. Of the 88% left, the typical sharing formula for the cinema and the distributor who represents the producer is about 50-50. Sometimes it slants in the favor of the cinema, depending on the strength or power of the film. But at most, it will be 52-48 in favor of the cinema for the expenses I've called upon. That's not to say the producer has not spent a lot of money on their film. That's not to say the distributor doesn't have their costs. But we must recognize that there is also a little premium cost of doing business in Nigeria. So essentially, that's the division. So of the 48% that is going to the producer side, the distributor takes a share of that, typically between 10 and 15%, sometimes up to 20% of that 48%.
All right.
So what then comes, as a split, if you look at it in effect, taking all the taxes and all the deduction, what comes to the producer from that 1 million naira is between 300,000 and 350,000 naira. And anywhere in the world, that split is about right, if not even more generous in the Nigerian context. Now, for studio films, bigger films, the sharing formula is different. And for bigger films also in Nigeria, there tends to be a more negotiating power and a compelling case that the content is a driver of business for the cinemas. A lot of people, one last point, a lot of people also do say the cinemas earn revenue on the retail side and all of that the producers do not earn revenue on. And the truth is, cinemas are a proper business. they've got to keep the lights on. So once the patrons and the customers are in, their job is to ensure they keep them entertained and keep them buying ancillary products to ensure that the business stays on and they can continue to show more films and going to generate revenues for the sector.
Wow.
All right, thank you so much, Moses Babatokpe, for talking to us at this time. Quite an insightful interview. Thank you so much, and we wish you the best in your future endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for what you do for the industry. Keep it going. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, at this point, we will shift gears to talk about